The silent threat. They came without warning. The stars dimmed as massive warships eclipsed entire systems. The Vortex Armada had emerged from the dark regions beyond the galactic rim, and none could stand against them. They didn't communicate. They didn't negotiate. They simply conquered. 12 stellar nations fell in the first month. Planets reduced to asteroid fields. Space stations converted to drifting debris. Civilizations dating back millennia erased in mere hours. The Vortex didn't rely on conventional weapons. Their technology operated on principles that defied known physics. Their ships phased through matter. Their energy beams didn't destroy targets. They unraveled the very fabric of existence, converting matter into nothingness. No defense grid could detect them. No shield could repel them. No military force could slow their advance. They weren't merely conquerors, they were extinction personified. The Galactic Conclave gathered in desperation. Representatives from 100 species huddled in the hidden chambers of Station Axum, each hoping someone else would propose a solution. "The Meridian Dominion has fallen," announced Admiral Zix, his 4 arms trembling despite his military bearing. 60 billion souls, gone. "The Collective deployed their quantum arsenal," added General Thorne, her crystalline form dimming with grief. "Every weapon failed. Every ship lost." "What options remain?" asked Diplomat Vreen, the youngest voice in the chamber. "Where can we evacuate our people?" Silence greeted the question. There was nowhere to run. The vortex consumed everything in their path with methodical precision. Then Elder Chorus stood, his ancient frame moving with unexpected purpose toward the central podium. From beneath his robes, he withdrew a data crystal sealed with triple encryption, the casing yellowed with age. The symbol etched on its surface caused immediate murmurs throughout the chamber. "No," gasped one representative. "They're unpredictable," warned another. "They're dangerous," added a third. Elder Chorus nodded slowly. "Indeed. But the vortex are more dangerous still, and we have exhausted all other options." The Conclave dispatched the message immediately, a quantum signal directed toward an unremarkable yellow star at the edge of the Orion Spur. The transmission was simple. "To the humans of Earth, the galaxy faces annihilation. If your civilization endures, if you still look to the stars, we beg your intervention." Then they waited. 1 cycle passed. 2. 5. No response came. Some speculated Earth had already fallen. Others suggested humans had abandoned their homeworld, or perhaps evolved beyond concern for other species. A few whispered that humans had never truly existed, that the ancient warnings about them were merely cautionary myths. On the 7th day, a reply arrived. No identification code, no diplomatic protocol, just 5 words in a calm, measured voice. "One ship, that's all necessary." The Conclave erupted in outrage. "One ship? Is this mockery? Who do these primitives think they are? We requested salvation, not suicide." The Conclave attempted further communication, demanding details, explanations, assurances. None came. Only silence followed, leaving the galaxy's last free species wondering if they had placed their final hope in a fool's promise. Then it appeared. A vessel entered the Proxima system, one of the few remaining safe zones. Conclave defense fleets scrambled to surround it, but the ship made no aggressive moves. It simply continued its steady approach. The vessel was small, perhaps a fifth the size of a standard cruiser. It bore no visible weaponry, no identification markings, no energy signatures that scanners could classify. It simply drifted forward, as though time itself bent to accommodate its unhurried pace. Elder Chorus observed from the station's observatory deck. "Is this truly all they sent?" he whispered. A young tactical officer scoffed nearby. "That vessel wouldn't survive 10 seconds against a Vortex scout, let alone their armada." "Then explain," Elder Chorus replied, gesturing toward the tactical display, "why the Vortex fleet has altered course." The officer's eyes widened. It was true. The Vortex Armada, previously driving steadily toward the galactic core, had suddenly pivoted. Their entire fleet now converged on the position of the solitary human ship, as though they sensed something, as though they recognized a threat where the Conclave saw only disappointment. The human vessel transmitted a single message that day, not to Earth, not to their apparent homeworld, but directly to the Conclave. 5 words, different from before, but equally chilling. You wanted help. Stand clear. The human ship maintained its deliberate pace. It made no attempt to evade or hide. It presented none of the characteristics of a warship: no armored hull, no weapon arrays, no escort fleet. It bore no insignia, no identification codes that galactic databases could recognize. A single figure occupied the cockpit. One human pilot in a simple black flight suit with no markings or decorations. Their face remained hidden behind a visor that revealed nothing of the individual within. No emotion, no fear, no uncertainty. The Conclave military advisors watched in confusion. "Where are their weapons?" asked the Thraxi commander. "Where is their battle group?" No one had answers. Even the vessel's construction defied analysis. Its surface was uniformly smooth, without visible seams, hull plates, or even engine exhausts. Yet it navigated with perfect precision, as though space itself accommodated its presence. The Vortex detected it. 10 scout ships detached from their main force to investigate. The Conclave observation posts recorded every moment, transmitting feeds to the anxious representatives. The human ship made no evasive maneuvers. It continued its straight path toward the approaching scouts. One Vortex vessel fired, a warning shot. A beam of coherent energy, the kind that had vaporized capital ships in seconds, streaked across space and struck the human vessel directly. There was a flash of light, a moment of blindness in the sensors, then stillness. When the glare faded, the human ship remained unchanged, not damaged, not even scratched. Then the human vessel moved. Without warning, without visible propulsion, it accelerated to speeds no Conclave tracking system could properly record. In less than 3 seconds, it passed through the Vortex scout formation. Behind it, all 10 Vortex scouts vanished. Not exploded, vanished. No debris, no energy release, no radiation signature, simply gone, as though they had never existed. The Conclave Command Center fell silent in shock. What was that? Someone finally whispered. A senior science officer checked his readings 3 times before responding. No known weapon signature matches, no heat bloom, no radiation pulse, no matter residue. They're just erased. Elder Chorus leaned forward in his seat, eyes wide. "That vessel didn't destroy them," he said softly. "It unmade them." The Vortex Armada halted its advance. For the first time in recorded history, their methodical conquest paused. Their formation shifted, regrouping before adjusting course, still moving toward the human ship, but now with evident caution. The human pilot transmitted a data package to the Conclave. Not instructions, not demands, simply historical footage from Earth. Cities burning, armies clashing, weapons of terrifying power detonating over populated areas. Centuries of human warfare, compressed into minutes of horror. One Conclave general dropped his command tablet in shock. They did this to each other," he stammered. "They fought themselves like this," another whispered, "for thousands of years." The final image showed a lone human walking through the ruins of a devastated city, carrying a tattered flag. Beneath it, a simple message. "Now imagine what we do to enemies." A new Vortex battle group advanced. 5 dreadnoughts, massive vessels wrapped in layered armor, each carrying enough firepower to shatter a moon. They approached in formation, weapons charged. The human ship didn't retreat. It moved with impossible grace, spinning and weaving through the barrage of energy weapons and gravity torpedoes. It dodged every shot, as though it knew the enemy's intentions before they did. Then it fired back. Once, a Vortex dreadnought disappeared. Again, Another dreadnought gone. A third shot. A third erasure. The remaining 2 dreadnoughts attempted to retreat. One escaped. The other joined its companions in non-existence. Fear spread through the Vortex Command. These beings had never known defeat, had never experienced the uncertainty of facing a superior force. Now they hesitated, caught between retreat and rage. The Conclave representatives watched in stunned silence. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered in their hearts. For the first time, the Vortex were not the hunters. They were the hunted. As Elder Chorus observed the tactical displays, someone asked, "Who is piloting that ship?" No one answered directly. But Chorus, watching the stars through the viewport, whispered to himself, "Not a warrior. Not a soldier. That is vengeance given form. That is humanity. Defiance beyond stars." The Vortex had never tasted defeat. Across 1,000 worlds, they had only known victory. But now, faced with a force they couldn't understand, they did what all predators do when wounded. They gathered their strength. Throughout the galaxy, Vortex warships altered course. From every conquered system, from every subjugated world, vessels converged on a single location, the human ship. Not 10, not 50, but 1,000 warships, the largest assembly of destructive power the galaxy had ever witnessed. Reports reached the Conclave station. "This is madness," declared one admiral. "No vessel can withstand such a force, no matter how advanced." Another representative nodded grimly. "Now we'll discover if Earth's reputation for insanity is deserved." Inside the human ship, the pilot remained silent, observing the approaching armada with calm detachment. They transmitted one final message, not to the Conclave, but directly to the Vortex fleet. The message contained no threats, no demands, only images. Earth's bloodiest conflicts, cities reduced to ash, continents scared by war, but more importantly, the aftermath. Humans emerging from bunkers, rebuilding from rubble, advancing despite setbacks, evolving through adversity. And at the end, 5 simple words: "You cannot break the broken." The Vortex couldn't comprehend the message. They weren't designed to understand persistence in the face of defeat. They were created for conquest, for domination. The concept of survival through adaptation was foreign to their consciousness, so they attacked. The battle began near the ruins of Tharsis, a once thriving world reduced to an asteroid field by Vortex weapons. One human ship against 1,000 Vortex warships. It wasn't a battle, it was a storm. Energy beams crisscrossed space like lightning. Gravity weapons distorted reality itself. Temporal disruptors slowed and accelerated time in chaotic patterns. The human ship moved through it all, untouched, a ghost slipping between raindrops. And every time it acted, a Vortex ship disappeared. 1, then 5, then 20. Aboard the Vortex command vessel, panic took root. The ship's overseer, a towering figure whose body pulsed with captured energy, watched in disbelief as the fleet dissolved around him. "This isn't a machine," hissed a subordinate. "It's death incarnate." "Retreat," ordered another. "Withdraw immediately." But it was too late. The human vessel moved faster now, more efficiently. It wasn't just fighting. It was learning, adapting to the Vortex tactics with each passing moment. On the Conclave observation station, the representatives watched in silence. No one celebrated. No one cheered. They simply observed as a single point of light methodically erased a fleet that had brought a galaxy to its knees. "What kind of species," someone finally whispered, "creates something like that?" Elder Chorus answered softly, "One that was never permitted the luxury of peace, one that learned to forge weapons from its own suffering." After 4 hours, the battle concluded. Of 1,000 Vortex warships, only 12 remained. They no longer fought. They fled, scattering across the stars like embers from a dying fire. The human ship transmitted one final message: "Send your leaders. We need to talk." Then it vanished. No warp signature, no hyperspace window, simply gone, as though it had stepped sideways out of reality. But everyone watching knew with certainty, this wasn't over. This was merely the opening move in a new game. The Vortex had never negotiated. Not once in their recorded history. They viewed all other life as resources to be harvested or obstacles to be removed. Dialogue was inefficient. Conquest was direct. But now they requested parley. Not out of desire for peace, but from the unfamiliar sting of fear. Only 12 ships had survived the encounter. 1,000 had engaged. 12 returned, all telling the same story. The human ship is not a weapon. It is a warning. The Conclave received an encrypted transmission on a frequency no one had used in millennia. The Vortex requested a neutral zone, a place for dialogue. The location, the shattered moon of Ecliptica. The humans agreed. On the moon's ruined surface, the meeting commenced. The Vortex sent their war director, a massive being whose armor incorporated the remains of conquered species. Energy crackled across its surface with each movement. Its eyes glowed like dying stars. It had personally overseen the destruction of 47 worlds. It waited alone among the ruins. The human ship arrived silently, settling on the dust without disturbing a single particle. From its seamless hull emerged the pilot, still clad in the featureless black suit, face concealed behind the opaque visor. The war director growled, "You are smaller than I anticipated." The human tilted their head slightly. "And you're slower than I expected." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then came laughter, harsh, broken, but genuine, from the war director. "You destroyed our fleet," the alien commander said finally. "Why not eliminate us entirely?" "Because we don't fight for pleasure," the human replied simply. "You do." The Vortex leader's eyes narrowed. "You think me a mindless destroyer." "I think you've never faced consequences," the human answered. "Until now." The war director stepped closer, towering over the human figure. "What are your demands?" "Territory, resources, technology." "Just one thing," said the human. "Stop." "Or what?" challenged the war director. The human turned, gesturing toward the stars. "Earth has remained isolated by choice, not necessity. What you faced was one ship, a test, a single vessel crewed by one pilot." They paused, allowing the implication to sink in. "Would you like to see what happens when we send two?" The war director's energy field fluctuated. The closest a vortex could come to expressing shock. "Impossible." "Unlikely," corrected the human. "Not impossible. We specialize in the unlikely." The war director considered this. "The Vortex do not surrender." "I'm not asking for surrender," replied the human. "I'm offering a choice. Coexist or disappear." "And if we choose conflict?" The human shrugged. "Then the galaxy will remember you as another species that underestimated humanity. There are many. You won't be the last." For the first time in Vortex history, a command was given that wasn't conquest. The remaining Vortex vessels withdrew beyond the galactic rim, disappearing into the void between galaxies. The human returned to their ship, transmitted the terms to the Conclave, and prepared to depart. Elder Chorus requested one final meeting before the human vessel left. Standing before the enigmatic craft, he asked the question that haunted the Conclave. "Will you join the galactic community now? Help us rebuild?" The human pilot paused at the threshold of their ship. "Not yet. You turned to us because you were desperate, not because you wanted us. We understand." "But you saved us," Chorus insisted. "Because it was necessary," the human replied. "Not because we were welcomed." Chorus bowed his head in acknowledgement. "When will you return?" The human entered their ship, but their voice carried back clearly. "When you call us as equals, not as weapons." The vessel departed, disappearing into the darkness between stars, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. The Conclave erected monuments to the silent protector, but they knew the truth. They hadn't witnessed salvation. They had glimpsed something far more terrifying. They had seen humanity holding back. Years later, When new threats emerged from the cosmic deep, the Conclave didn't hesitate. They sent a different message to Earth. The galaxy needs its guardians, not as our shields, but as our siblings. Come home. This time, Earth answered with more than one ship. They answered with open hands, and the promise that while humanity might have been forged in conflict, its true strength lay in what it chose to protect. The galaxy learned what the Vortex never understood. Humans weren't dangerous because they were powerful. They were powerful because they had endured danger and chosen to become something more.